Welcome to our first products chapter. Now we get into what makes up the 4 P's of our marketing strategy. Similar to last week's lesson on targeting and segmentation, our product is an element that we can control, albeit we still have to work with the external environment. So this first slide deck, the one we're on, will introduce you to products, goods, and services, and the new product creation process. The second slide deck will focus on managing products through their life cycle. Keep in mind that services are a type of product, so they're integrated throughout both. Just as a reminder, if you do watch YouTube videos, you can always change the speed of playback through the settings. It looks like a little gear at the bottom right of the YouTube window. So here are our learning objectives for the slide deck. Keep in mind the product lessons span more than one chapter, so you'll need to read more than one to get a complete understanding, or at least introduction. So first you'll want to explain how the different aspects of the product create value, be able to identify a few differences between goods and services, and explain how that will impact 1, the customer experience, and 2, the marketing mix. 3, describe a few differences between organizational and consumer products. 4, describe how each type of product class could impact the firm's marketing mix. 5, discuss why might a firm offer a product line or more than one product. 6, explain why the new product process ends with fewer ideas than it begins with, and how this narrowing down process takes place. So what are products? Let's get with a question, true or false? We'll see how much we remember from chapter 1. So true or false, products can only be tangible. Tangible as in they have to have a material, physical form. They're touchable, even smellable perhaps. Hopefully you said false. What is a product? Well, a product is the need-satisfying offering of a firm. It is everything, positive and negative, that a person receives as part of an exchange dyad or a larger network of actors. It can be an admission to a flight that will move you to a new place. It can be an app serving up many kinds of experiences. It can both be the coffee you get at Starbucks and the cozy environment you can sit in. So a product can be primarily a more tangible good, a less tangible service, or usually often a whole mixing between. It's just a matter of how much action or use is the primarily part of the exchange as opposed to a tangible type of value. So tangible goods often come bundled with services, such as if you're buying a fish. Part of the exchange is that the butcher or fishmonger may offer added services of cleaning and cutting. And when it comes to B2B, it's very common tangible products come bundled with additional services like modifications, the delivery schedule, ease of reordering procedures, tech support, and so on. As an activity, I encourage you to pick a product and write it down somewhere. We will be referring back to it, and what I want to see is you're going to use it as an example throughout our lesson. And for these slides, I usually use a Samsung smartphone battery replacement purchased through Amazon Prime. And feel free to do your class project if you like with this. So, what is a product or concept, or as a concept? The product, as an idea or concept, encompasses many attributes of a physical good or service. It includes its features, benefits, quality level, as well as its accessories, installation requirements, and instructions. So this includes its branding and identity in relation to other offerings, whether they would be the competitors or the company's own alternatives. So in sum, a product should be considered as a need-satisfying offering The basis of this is the satisfaction it provides customers and the way they value these different elements. So remember, products are frequently intangible and exchanges aren't always about money. So nonprofits do marketing all the time. They often want you to donate money, of course, but there's donate time, adopt new viewpoint, drop a certain habit, and so on. The bone marrow registry sends frequent emails asking people to commit or recommit to being on the donor list, going on fundraising walks, or sharing their stories. Another example where money isn't the primary exchange. Niantic, maker of Pokemon Go, also had a game called Ingress. Like Pokemon Go, it's an augmented reality game that uses a GPS signal to line an in-game map on your phone against your real-life location. Where there are real-life fountains, artwork, cool buildings, there's likely to be a portal in the game. So two teams fight for control of territory. And so this game is free, and at first there were very few microtransactions available and few traditional sponsorships. So, how did exchange of value work for this game app? Well, on the one hand, players get a game to play, they get a player community they can have fun with, and we even knew two players who met through the game and got engaged, and that wasn't too unusual. Niantic even held community events. But what did the company get? Niantic was operating under the auspices of Google, and the app gave them behavioral information for how groups source art and landmarks, because in the game you're encouraged to submit an art and hangout spots. So they further had user geographic movement and information through this app. Word was that some of the Google founders were merely curious how designing such a game would work. Google further gets a collection of items not readily accessible and available using the Google camera vans or through searching databases. So Google tried to co-brand by linking the Ingress account to the then social platform Google Plus as well. And before it was released on iOS, they could also boast it's an Android exclusive. More recently, we can see Ingress, and especially Pokemon Go, make bank on ticketed special events and microtransactions, but at the time, this was another example of money isn't the end all. So keep in mind that marketing is all about promoting exchange, and that the core of the product is an offering that satisfies customer needs. So just as a quick recap, products are all part of an offering that is offered to the market to satisfy a want or need. They can be goods, services, ideas, or any combination thereof. It consists of all parts. So these can be tangible and intangible. They can include both the positive and the negative. Everything from tangible products like Girl Scout cookies, services like your dog getting a haircut, or going on a cruise, or ideas such as giving money, or your blood to a nonprofit, or to vote for a political candidate, or for a certain platform. And so one quick thing, we sometimes say products and services. Even your book has a habit of doing that. Try to avoid that, since technically a service is a product, and we get kind of overly focused on the material characteristics of the product as is versus the big picture of what value someone is getting. So just a heads up. Big thing, don't forget, relationship marketing is essential, and it continues to be essential. As a recap, this marketing argues we must build long-term relationships between the organization and customer rather than framing it as an individual purchase transaction. We must look beyond effectively the immediate product to the needs, current and developing. So a major part of today's strategy is in fact augmenting the value of that primary offering. Our B2C analytic tools are helping us to do what was once only pretty feasible with B2B, more customized marketing mixes and frequent and timely points we reach out or try to be there for a customer. Likewise, in B2B, service components are increasingly expected parts of the product. You cannot just stop and say, hey, this device has more storage capacity, but what you are doing to solve their specific problems to which the widget is a part. And so a strong B2B organization acts as a strategic consultant in a way alongside the client. The B2B seller helps the organizational customer envision how they can best use said product in terms of the customer strategy. The salesperson can further translate features into benefits and then benefits into dollars. So a personalized product and message are more assumed than ever. The person or team you're selling to have names. They're not just units in an organization. And we touched upon this in that B2B chapter, but it's true. And now we have extra data and analytic tools that start giving more targeted messages beyond just a simple tailored product offering. And if you're interested, we have videos with 2 different angles. This video, Oracle promotes its B2B services and how they can help other B2B sellers, and a good mix of how relationship building is often about both a seller and automated tools. This video covers how account managers' primary job is nurturing relationships for accounts. In effect, current existing customers of your B2B product. Big emphasis on how problem solving for your customer is your job. So in sum, keep in mind that a product is, again, all parts of the offering, good and bad, primary and secondary. So let's talk goods. The first major type of product is what's called a good. A good is a type of product that is primarily defined and valued for its tangible qualities or other traits that can be sensed. So if the book uses the example of gasoline, sure, we don't usually touch it, but we could. We can certainly see and smell it. And we often further think in terms of whether a good is durable or non-durable. So durable, a good that usually lasts even after many uses. Non-durable tends to be consumed after one or few uses. These categories let us anticipate what customers look for in their products and how we market towards those customers. For example, non-durable goods tend to be less expensive and more frequently purchased, while durable goods tend to be more expensive, higher margin, and involve customers that usually want more information when making their decision. For organizational customers, this will affect the quantity of demand and decision processes. So certain purchases are likely to be made on a case-by-case basis. So furniture, filing cabinets, while others may be purchased in a bundle. So a service may specialize in procuring all your cleaning supplies for an office building. In sum, knowing whether durable or non-durable can help us estimate demand timing, and tailoring that marketing mix. Now, service. Services are products defined by more intangible activities or benefits that an organization provides to satisfy needs. One of the primary things we see with products is that often it's a mix of goods and services. As noted, a pound of walnuts already has some service built in, or rather, any type of product. But likewise, many services often may deal with tangible things too. For example, an airplane flight moves people from point A to point B. So take a look at this chart. It's a handy way to remember that services may represent tangible changes made to people or things. For example, a vet will render care for your pet. A car wash washes your car. Oftentimes the changes are intangible. For example, going to a ball game or reading or listening to a presentation is making primarily mental changes to you. For banking or accounting, services are being rendered as evidence through changed numbers on your bank account or an end report. So in sum, remember, products are all about a package of value, that total package of value. Services and material objects are often involved. And here's a handy chart to remind you how products are all really just a combination of goods and services. It just depends how much the value is primarily based on the good itself, a service, or both. And so salt is obviously more prized for its material form, while in teaching, the primary value is on the learning, very intangible. So meanwhile, we have restaurants in the middle where the tangible good and service are pretty equally important. So services are special. Here are 4 big ways we think of services as different than goods. So number 1, intangible. How tangible is the product? Key value is not centered on a physical object for a service. Instead, they cannot be touched, seen, tasted, heard, or felt in the same way as a good. However, tangible cues can be used to communicate a service's quality and nature instead. Facilities are a critical tangible part of a service experience. Next, inseparability, where the product is produced. Services are often sold, produced, and consumed at the same time. This suggests a more dispersed placement strategy where you can't as easily produce services in one central location, so it's not like Cheerios where you have a few central factories. This makes the customer service provider relationship really important. Customers are often even more involved in the production of the services that they buy. Next, inconsistency, sometimes called heterogeneity. It's about quality consistency. Services are less standardized and uniform than goods. And so there's a reason when fast food began, a major point of difference was how they could consistently produce a burger night after night and across cities and states very similar. That was very consistent. And so services tend to be labor intensive, and so that makes consistency and quality control hard to achieve, and humans aren't robots. Standardization training can help increase consistency and reliability when we want it. Next, inventory. In effect, perishability, that services are not usually easily stored. They can't be warehoused or inventoried in the same way as a good. A key challenge is therefore finding ways to synchronize supply and demand. A key part of Priceline's business, for example, is helping hotels fill excess inventory, rooms that would otherwise be empty for the night, by connecting customers looking for a deal and willing to be flexible about where they stay. In sum, so you can see here, services are different than goods. This impacts customer experience and your marketing mix. So if value comes from a bundle of activities or tangible things, a major service question becomes, well, what is your primary value offering? And so for services, it helps to define your core service and your supplementary service. So keep the primary value offering in focus, whatever that is. So, for example, getting pretzels and a soda on a flight, good, but the primary benefit, the core service, is getting from point A to point B when you buy that airline ticket. For hotels, the core primary service is probably getting that room and not usually the continental breakfast. However, when competition does become fierce, the ability to compete over, say, this primary core service gets pretty difficult. And so you start differentiating on these other supplementary services. And so we'll see plenty of this with B2B. So in sum, both goods and services can make up the total product, and distinction between them is not usually as important. What is, though, is fine tuning a product's position, recognizing the differences between physical products and pure services, and all of that will help aid your planning. So, again, remember, what is your primary offering? So, to wrap up, just a nice video that it's optional, but helpful and available to you. It's a nice intro on the major methods you can use when offering B2B services. So you can see more videos in the career corner of our Blackboard page. I also encourage you to, whatever your interest, seek out videos or communities that will share what they know. Consider too how in the marketing of you, what services do you offer that an organization might want to fight to partner with you? All right, so that's it for this first part. Next part, we'll be going over more types of categories of products. All right, let me know if you have any questions and take care.